Let's welcome in our powerhouse panel for the day. Joining Tom and me is best-selling author and political analyst Mark Halperin and Project 21 National Advisory Board member and principal of Red Tail Strategies, Christopher Arps. Happy Friday to you both.
Happy Friday.
we get the wave. So Dr. Fauci, I know Rob wishes he was here because we know that Dr. Fauci is his favorite, but so he's back. This time he says the mask mandates on public transportation should be a CDC issue, not a court issue. Take a listen.
We are concerned about that, about courts getting involved in things that are unequivocally public health decisions. I mean, this is a CDC issue. It should not have been a court issue.
All right. Mark, your reaction to our friend over there?
He's not a legal expert. And overall, given that we're fighting a pandemic, I think the balance has been struck pretty well on both sides, both when President Trump was in office and he faced some adverse decisions, and now with President Biden.
Yeah, it's interesting, Chris, because when that news broke about the Florida federal judge saying that we don't need to wear masks anymore on planes and trains, so many people were happy. We saw lots of videos. Yet, if you watch the mainstream media, right, the MSNBCs and the CNNs, the world was ending. And I brought this up to I may have brought it up to you or somebody else the other day, that if this was supposed to end on May 3rd, I think, anyway. So if President Biden if it just rolled out, it ended on, President Biden said no more masks on planes or trains. Do you think that there would have been the same reaction? But yet we have a judge who was appointed by President Trump, who's in Florida. Now they're outraged. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounded like to me Dr. Fauci was saying that science trumps the Constitution. I mean, the reason that this mask mandate was thrown out is because they didn't follow the rules correctly. Go back and do it right. And I think that if, Donald Trump was president and this was removed, that they would say, again, that the world is coming to an end, that the president is irresponsible and he doesn't care about people's lives. I think that would be the narrative.
Yeah, Tom, let's stick with this. White House Deputy Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre saying the president believes masks should be an individual choice. But don't worry, the economy is booming. Listen.
Does he still believe it should be an individual choice, even though the Department of Justice is appealing the federal judge's ruling?
A couple of things. I just want to lay this out because I think it's very important. So first, we've made a lot of progress on COVID. Thanks to vaccines, boosters, and treatments, severe cases of COVID and deaths are down 90% since the president entered office. Our economy is growing. Schools are open. People are getting back to work. We can feel much better about how things are today, but we know that this virus is tricky.
Tom, the economy is booming? Well, inflation is at the highest it's been in 40 years?
Yeah, but that's true. But I mean, if they're saying that the economy is booming, get rid of the student loan forbearance. Or is that just political, just like all the COVID stuff? They're all over the place because they're and who knows whether or not he was supposed to say that, he was told to say that, and whether or not that's his real opinion or somebody else's opinion. This is the reason why people are really frustrated. And by the way, when it comes to Dr. Fauci, when he says we, I always tend to think it's like the royal we, because he doesn't actually think that, as a guy who's lived in a bubble of the federal government in the deep state for the last 45 years, he doesn't live in the real world. And he doesn't think that there are checks and balances, to Mark's point, or that the courts really matter. People are done with this. I talk to Democrats who are saying, look, it's over. It's a virus. It's going to mutate. Most of the country has gotten it and resolved already. And the CDC now has...
He was speaking about disinformation on social media platforms, where he says social media platforms have made democracy more vulnerable. Take a listen.
Social media companies already make choices about what is or is not allowed on their platforms and how that content appears. The problem is we often don't know what principles govern those decisions.
Mark, what do you think about that?
Sleeper issue for 2024, because there are people on the left and the right who think that there's problems with these platforms. I agree with a lot of what President Obama says about this. I wish he'd done more as president to try to address it. It takes really smart people in government to try to regulate these super evil, super brilliant monopolies. And we need people in both parties who are super brilliant to try to figure it out.
Yeah, Chris, this is a big task to tackle because there's so many layers to this, right?
look, our former president would have a whole lot more credibility if during that speech he cited specific instances like the Hunter Biden laptop story, and then he'd have a lot more credibility with me.
Chris, that was not going to be his first example, Chris.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Or the example of our local radio station, News Talk STL, which has been permanently banned from YouTube because they don't like the content of a talk radio station.
Yeah,
Just-
makes
Also
no
not his
sense.
first example.
You know, look, he says, well, we don't know who's making these decisions or what their political ideology is.
They know who's making the decisions.
90%
Yeah.
of Google employees, Apple employees, if you look at their political contributions, which are all public, we know what side of the aisle that they're rooting for.
We'll see what
when they're
happens
out there.
with Twitter. We'll see with Elon Musk. All right, great to have you. Christopher Arps, Mark Halperin, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Have a plus weekend.
We will. We will. Take care, guys.